Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Please don't click off right now because you'll my algorithm up. Appreciate you coming here. I'm assuming that you saw the last episode where I went over the 5 pieces of musical equipment that I regret buying. Today's going to be the exact opposite, where I go over the 5 pieces of equipment that I absolutely don't regret buying. As I said last time, there's so much equipment coming out nowadays. There's so many channels that are paid to tell you to buy equipment, and I will never be one of those, so you can tune in and know that whatever I say is exactly what I think and I'm not being paid to say it. I just want to go over a couple of other things. So yeah, in order to professionally do music and to record and to mix and not have any problems, there are a few pieces of equipment that you need to, 1, stay motivated, and 2, to actually complete the task. So the number 1 piece of equipment that I absolutely don't regret buying is a great computer. So I used to be on a MacBook Pro. I was on the 2019 right before they went to the M1 chip. And it was really good for a long time. It just kind of slowly started to just shit the bed. And I did find out that it was because there was a lot of dust getting in the fan. If you're having trouble with your computer and you're finding that it used to be really quick and now it's like super slow, your laptop or whatever, bring it into Apple Store or whatever computer you have and get the fan cleaned out, because the likelihood is there's a lot of dust in there that's slowing it down. But aside from that, I started doing more video work and I started doing like 3D and CGI work, and I needed a better graphics card. So I made the decision to sell the laptop. I got like half of what I paid for it, which was okay, and I put it towards a new PC. And I decided to go with PC because you can customize everything and I can get like a proper graphics card. For my musical setup, I'm using a UAD interface, and I decided to go with an Intel i9 because AMD is a little bit weird, and apparently there's more issues with getting AMD to work proper with UAD interfaces. I had somebody build it, my friend Emmanuel. I'll link him down below if you're in Toronto and looking to build a computer. Yeah, I only have 32 gigabytes of RAM, but the thing is, you don't need a shitload of RAM if you're not running a bunch of programs at once. Sometimes I'll run Ableton as well as DaVinci Resolve and it works fine. And I'll have even like YouTube open and it's fine. I'll probably get another solid state drive, maybe 1 or 2 terabytes, just so I have more offloading. And a lot of people will keep their plugins and their programs on one solid state drive and like their current folders on another one. With my GPU, I decided to go with the RTX 3080 Ti. And if you're doing music, you don't necessarily need something that good. It was just that I do a lot of like CGI work and 3D modeling using Blender right here. It was the best GPU that I was willing to pay money for. And yeah, I've literally never had a problem with it. On my MacBook, even when it was running perfectly fine, I had it crash so many times. I usually mix in Pro Tools because I just like the way that it works a bit better than Ableton for mixing. And I've never had it crash on me. I think I've got a CPU usage error like once, or maybe between once and 3 times, but it never stopped me from mixing. I never had to close the computer and restart. I used to get that all the time on my MacBook. I don't know how the M1s or the M2s are right now, but all I can say is that I've never had an issue with Ableton or Pro Tools using my new computer. And that's why it's number 1 on the list, because without having a great computer, it doesn't matter how good your guitar or your synths are, you're not gonna be able to record it. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, so number 2, a really good interface. Just like in the last video where I talked about buying things used, as much as I can, I buy things used. I was able to find the interface that I'm using now, which is an Apollo 8X. I found it used, and I saved $1,500 off of it. I was very lucky. It may have been stolen, I will say that. Oh no, I won't say that. I use the UAD interface because it comes with their whole programming, their monitoring program called Console. And one thing I absolutely hate is latency. When I'm using my UAD setup, I never get latency. I'm playing guitar. I did buy some of their plugins. They're very expensive, and I don't know if they're worth the money. Then you can record with auto-tune on into Pro Tools, which is crazy, or any DAW. And yeah, just recording with 0 latency. I hate tracking guitars and hearing I hate it. It drives me crazy. Even like the slightest bit of latency throws me off completely. So I absolutely don't regret it. It's definitely worth spending the most amount that you can towards your computer and then towards your interface, and then let everything else just take the burden. So number 3 is buying a really good mic. For vocals and for dynamic recording, like drum samples or anything like that, I bought the Shure SM7B, I want to say like 8 or 10 years ago. I still have the exact same one and it's in perfect condition. It just works. They're built like a tank, they last forever, they sound the best for screaming out of any mic I've tried. I've tried a bunch of different mics, and like honestly, just the SM7B sounds best for screaming. And I think that's why everybody uses it. because you can't go wrong. It's great for podcasts, and it's great for screaming, and it's great for drums. I use it when I'm trying to do just a quick sample snare. I really like it on toms. Floor tom, it's great. And in a pinch, I use it on kick too. It sounds great on anything you throw it on, except for probably like hi-hats or something like that. And I've definitely seen people use it for saxophone, which is odd, but it sounds cool. If you're screaming, don't waste your money on like a really expensive mic. The SM7B, I don't know exactly how much it is. I think it's probably around 500 bucks, and you really can't go wrong. So number 4, really good headphones. Whether they're open back or closed, if you're doing a lot of tracking, if you're a vocalist and you're doing a lot of tracking, just get a really good pair of closed back headphones. I have the Audio-Technica ATH A50X. Right now they're 250 bucks, and they're amazing. Like I was saying in the last video, when I was at the studio before we closed, we spent like over $2,000 on speakers, and my mixes sounded better using these headphones. And I still use them today. I use them a lot. I actually do the majority of my listening in those headphones because I really know the way they sound. And like I said in the last video, knowing your source and knowing the way that sounds is way more important than how expensive it was. If you know what frequency ranges it has, and you know what frequency ranges it doesn't have, and you know the way that it translates from source to source, that's the best thing you can do. That's the best. And for 250 bucks, I would say they're the best headphones. I do listen to my speakers when I want to just see how the low end is, and I will use my speakers basically when I'm tracking or when I'm writing something so that I'm more motivated and excited. But other than that, when I'm mixing, the majority of the time I'm using that because my room doesn't sound very good. I have a long, narrow, weird room. It's a weird size. I'm not in the corner, but I'm at one side, and then there's just like a whole bunch of space. And I have a bunch of sound panels, but it doesn't sound good. It really doesn't sound good. I know when I used to use Sonarworks, it's missing like a lot of 100 hertz. And that's the thing. You can spend a load of money on speakers, but if your room sounds bad, your room sounds bad. And then you got to put a lot more money into making your room sound good. If you get a really good pair of headphones, even like Sennheiser, whatever they're called, 600 HD Pro, whatever they are, they're open back. They're around like 500 bucks. That's going to be way cheaper than buying $2,000 speakers and then soundproofing it to sound good. Or acoustic treating it. Acoustic treating. So this one's a bit contradicting from my last video where I talked about the 5 pieces of equipment that I regret. If you haven't seen it, it's right up here. And it's going to be my keyboards and my synthesizers. I have like a decent collection of keyboards and synthesizers, and they sound quite different from plugins. Plugins, you can get really good sounds, and a lot of people do a lot of great work with them. But for my work, I'm way more motivated when I'm using an analog keyboard, and I know that they're more expensive than a plugin. And if I were you, I probably wouldn't go down this route because it's a dangerous rabbit hole, but just get a MIDI keyboard and buy some plug-in synths. I love using my keyboards, my analog keyboards and synths, because as well as just recording straight into my interface, I usually take the headphone out and I plug into my pedal board. And when I mix the normal outs in with my pedal board, I just get a sound that I would spend a lot more time trying to replicate in the box. And it's just more motivating. Like a lot of times I will mess with my dials while creating a part, and you can obviously always send MIDI to your keyboards and then mess with your dials and your pedals at the same time as recording into it. I don't know. There's just like there's a different feeling you get. It's a good feeling. It's a great feeling. It's an expensive feeling. But there's a little bonus one. I'll throw in a little bonus. You guys have been good. I'll give you a bonus. The last thing that you should spend your money on are courses. Don't do what I did and buy a bunch of equipment and then sell it and lose your investment on it because you bought new. Buy some courses instead. You can't go wrong. You can get like the Nail the Mix ones. You'll learn a lot. You'll probably sound like everybody else that uses Nail the Mix because everybody who runs Nail the Mix courses all sound alike, unfortunately, including myself. It took me a while to get out of that habit. But courses go a long way. There's so much that you can learn on YouTube for sure. There's a lot that you can learn on like Skillshare. I'm not sponsored by them at all, and I haven't really got many courses from there. I've got a few Blender ones. It's so much better. Just don't buy a profit keyboard. Get a plugin, and then buy a few courses about either music theory, production, recording, mixing, whatever you're interested in. It'll go a long way, and it's just the best investment that you can make in yourself. So I hope you all enjoyed it. Again, I hope you learned from my mistakes, and I hope you learned from my lessons. And if you liked this at all, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. It really helps in the algorithm, and it'll help my channel grow. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.
Snorlax, Pidgeotto, Pidgey, Spearow, Magnemite, Charizard. They're up there.
Thanks for watching.